Well, unfortunately, like I said, music industry isn't being run by musicians. So it's being run by accountants and lawyers. So I don't know if they'd know real music if they heard it.
So before you get into the business, you really don't know what it's about until you get into it. You know, once you rub heads with snakes and you get jaded.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard.
What if I told you that one of the music industry's most mysterious figures, D'Angelo, disappeared for over a decade because of a warning from none other than Prince himself?
It's a double-edged sword, A lot of artists aren't getting paid full scale for their art.
Prince, who fought the music industry his entire life, warned artists about the dangers of fame, the exploitation by record labels, and the traps of Hollywood. But did D'Angelo listen?
Like with Prince, that was my first idol. I've heard somewhere else too where if you're an artist, they say don't seek them, but seek what they sought.
D'Angelo's career seemed unstoppable after the release of his critically acclaimed Voodoo, but almost overnight, he vanished. Could Prince's death have pushed D'Angelo further into the shadows?
You never want to be at a place where you feel like you've arrived. It's always an upward incline.
Let's deep into the eerie parallels between Prince's struggles and D'Angelo's disappearance. Did Prince's tragic end serve as a wake-up call for D'Angelo to escape the very industry that once celebrated him? In 2021, R&B artist D'Angelo launched his Sonos Radio channel, Feverish Fantazmagoria. During its debut, he shared a personal story about meeting his idol, Prince. Reflecting on the encounter, D'Angelo described it as a deeply significant moment in his life and career. Honestly, I felt very comfortable around him, D'Angelo stated. I felt like I knew him very well. I've been studying him all my life. And when I met him, I felt like I'd lived my life for that moment. I had trained. I had done everything I had done for that moment. D'Angelo has repeatedly acknowledged Prince as a cornerstone of his musical inspiration. When asked about the artist who first inspired him to pursue music, his answer was unequivocal. It was Prince for sure, and it was pretty early. He elaborated on this during the same session, citing the release of Dirty Mind in 1981 as a pivotal moment. It was over. That was it, he said, emphasizing the profound impact of Prince's groundbreaking work on his artistic direction. This is not the first time D'Angelo has discussed Prince's influence. In a 2014 interview with Okayplayer, he recalled his early fascination with Prince's music. Reflecting on his childhood, D'Angelo described how, at just 5 years old, he became captivated by Prince's I Wanna Be Your Lover album. When that album came out, it was just huge, he explained. He really literally was the talk of the town. Everybody was wondering, who is this guy? Is he a guy? Is it a girl? No one really knew who it was. D'Angelo shared that his older brothers were equally enthralled by Prince and helped him understand the artist's unique talent. They told me, he plays everything, he writes everything, he's singing everything. So I was hooked from then on. I learned how to play every song on that album, note for note, at 5 years old. Prince's influence extends beyond D'Angelo's formative years. Today, the artist continues to draw inspiration from Prince's meticulous approach to his craft. Like his idol, D'Angelo maintains a private archive of unreleased music. On Feverish Fantazmagoria, he described his personal vault as expansive and multidimensional. It has a lot of depth. It spans a lot of territory. On the other hand, Prince also saw himself in D'Angelo, an artist unwilling to compromise. He likely recognized the pressures D'Angelo faced after the release of Voodoo, especially the objectification that came with the iconic untitled How Does It Feel video. But did Prince warn D'Angelo about the dangers of becoming a product of the industry? While there's no direct record of such a conversation, their mutual admiration and shared experiences suggest Prince may have tried to guide him. Prince's battle with the industry is legendary. From changing his name to a symbol to openly criticizing record labels, he spent decades fighting for creative freedom. But the cost of that freedom was immense. Alienation, substance issues, and ultimately, his untimely death. For context, back when Prince was a huge star signed to Warner Brothers, he started fighting for control over his music. He famously said, "I own the work because I paid for it and I did all the work." In other words, he created his music, so he believed it should belong to him. But as you might guess, the record companies saw things differently.
The way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
Prince waged a war against Warner Bros., fighting tooth and nail for ownership of his rights and more creative control. It wasn't a walk in the park, especially since he was trying to break free from a deal he signed when he was just 19. The battle got so real that he famously started appearing with the word slave on his face in 1999, a bold statement to say the least. In an interview with Paper Mag, Prince spilled the tea on wanting to buy back his masters from Warner Bros. Their response? A solid no way. So what did Prince do? He dropped a bomb saying, "I'm going to re-record them. All of them." Picture this. 2 catalogs with almost the same music, but Prince's version, well, that's gonna be the superior one. You can either toss your money to the big company or support new power generation, he said. The man had choices, and he wanted you to make them. Prince didn't hold back about the industry's grip on artists in other interviews either. He laid it out plain and simple, saying, "As long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. Only a select few make it big, while the majority are left in the dust."
And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well. The majority will not.
Fast forward a bit, and Prince eventually cut ties with Warner Bros., but plot twist, he rejoined them in 2014, this time with ownership of his old masters. There was a catch though, the label held the global licensing rights. Now, here's where the conspiracy theories kick in. Some fans are whispering that maybe, just maybe, the industry wasn't too happy about Prince reclaiming control, and that might have played a part in the tragic turn of events. In any case, there were whispers that Prince wasn't doing so hot in the weeks leading up to his departure. Canceled shows, emergency landings, and a dose of an anti-opiate. Things were clearly off. But here's the head-scratcher. If he OD'd less than a month before, why wasn't he under the watchful eye of a doc? I mean, common sense, right? The fact that Prince wasn't getting the medical TLC he needed is raising some eyebrows, especially when you consider the business side of things. If you're booking tour dates, you'd want to make sure the headliner is in top shape, right? No unexpected cancellations, especially at the big venues. It's like we're missing a crucial piece of the puzzle here, and the mystery of Prince's health just keeps getting weirder. Also, this Prince mystery, seriously, it's like a plot straight out of a thriller movie. So here's the thing, Prince was found in the same elevator he once called the devil. Yeah, you heard that right. Reed spilled the spooky details on CBS, and it's enough to give you chills. You see, the circumstances surrounding Prince's death inside an elevator were particularly eerie, according to L.A. Reid, especially given Prince's known apprehensions about elevators. As depicted in the following video from E.T., Prince's friend Reid discussed the unsettling discovery of Prince's lifeless body in an elevator.
One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?" No. I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil."
According to E.T., Reid shared Prince's aversion to elevators. Prince held a belief that elevators were sinister in nature, often referring to them as instruments of the devil. This perspective on elevators was encapsulated in Prince's 1984 song, "Let's Go Crazy." In the song's lyrics, Prince likened elevators to malevolent forces that might attempt to bring a person down. He sang about the struggle to ascend by pressing a higher floor button, symbolizing his defiance against the negative influence he associated with elevators. Reid recounted a conversation he had with Prince regarding the artist's feelings about elevators. This discussion left Reid feeling uncomfortable, as it delved into the topic of the devil, something he was uneasy discussing. The news of Prince's lifeless discovery in an elevator on the first floor of Paisley Park, Prince's residence and studio, deeply perturbed Reid given the context of their previous conversation. One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?" I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil." It scared me. I don't like to talk like that, but he said that. So for me, it was like really haunting when I read that he was found in an elevator. But the oddities don't end there. People are really confused about why Prince was alone at Paisley Park. Sure, he was incredibly private, but seriously? No servants, no security, no assistants, nothing? It's looking pretty suspicious. I mean, you'd think someone would be around, especially given his status. And then it gets even weirder. There were rumors and predictions that Prince was heading towards some sort of destiny. His last Instagram post, right before his unexpected death, had people talking. It was a picture of him with the caption, "Just when you thought you were safe." Now, Prince was known for being cryptic, but this post had folks thinking he knew something was coming. Plus, it turns out he might have predicted his own death not once, but twice. At a party at Paisley Park just days before he died, Prince reportedly told everyone, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers." If that's not a cryptic message, I don't know what is. And here's where it gets even creepier. There's a rumor that Prince put himself in danger by talking about the controversial topic of chemtrails. In an interview, he shared memories from his childhood of seeing these trails in the sky. Interesting, right? But then he mentioned how everyone in his neighborhood started fighting and arguing after these trails appeared. For context, there's a theory that the government uses jet trails to spread chemicals for population control. Prince talking about this on TV supposedly upset some powerful people.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time, and so oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them.
And if that's not strange enough, here's something even spookier. In an episode of The Simpsons called Treehouse of Horror, there's a segment where Homer Simpson takes out several celebrities, including one referred to as the Purple One. The unique guitar makes it obvious they're talking about Prince, and it's supposedly on government orders. Whether it's just an eerie coincidence or something more sinister, it definitely sends chills down your spine. Similarly, D'Angelo faced immense pressure to replicate his success. The industry's obsession with his image overshadowed his artistry, leaving him disillusioned. Was Prince's own struggle a mirror for what D'Angelo wanted to avoid? After Voodoo dropped, D'Angelo became a household name.
Feel the magic of D'Angelo. Voodoo.
But it wasn't just his music that got people talking. It was that unforgettable video for Untitled, How Does It Feel? The intimate, shirtless visuals made him a S symbol overnight. Suddenly, audiences were less interested in his soulful sound and more fixated on his looks. Imagine pouring your heart into your music only to have people come to your concerts just to gawk at you. That's exactly what happened to D'Angelo. Fans screamed for him to take his shirt off during performances, and his artistry started feeling overshadowed by his image. For someone who wanted to be known as a serious musician, this objectification was frustrating and even dehumanizing. He spoke out about this, but the weight of being seen as just a body took its toll. As his fame grew, D'Angelo found himself in a dark place. Like many artists, he turned to substances to cope with the pressure, but this led to a spiral that was hard to break out of. His substance abuse issues weren't just a private battle. They spilled into public view with arrests for drug possession and DUI. These struggles weren't just about the substances themselves. They were tied to the larger pressures he faced in trying to balance fame, expectations, and his personal life. It's no wonder he needed to step away and focus on his health and well-being. On top of dealing with fame and addiction, D'Angelo also faced heartbreaking personal losses during his hiatus. The death of his friend and collaborator Jay Dilla in 2006 hit him hard. Jay Dilla wasn't just another artist to D'Angelo. He was a creative partner and a huge influence on his music. Losing someone who understood him on that level left a void in his life and work. And it didn't stop there. Other personal losses, including the death of his uncle, further compounded his grief. When you're already struggling, these kinds of losses can feel like the final straw. Let's not forget the immense pressure to follow up Voodoo. That album wasn't just good, it was a masterpiece, hailed by critics and adored by fans. The idea of having to top that left D'Angelo creatively stuck. He didn't want to rush out an album just to meet expectations, but the weight of those expectations made it hard for him to find inspiration. Artists often talk about how important it is to feel connected to their work. And for D'Angelo, that connection wasn't coming easily. So rather than force something that didn't feel right, he stepped back to rediscover his passion. Finally, there's the matter of the industry itself. D'Angelo has always been about authenticity. He wasn't interested in selling out or chasing trends. But by the mid-2000s, the music industry was shifting in ways that didn't align with his values. Neo-soul, the genre he helped define, was becoming more commercialized, and the pressure to conform didn't sit well with him. Prince had warned about the traps of Hollywood and the music business, and D'Angelo likely took those lessons to heart. Instead of sticking around and risking losing himself in the process, he chose to protect his artistry by walking away. When D'Angelo finally returned in 2014 with Black Messiah, it was clear he had taken the time to heal and create on his terms. Even then, he remained elusive, avoiding the trappings of fame that had once caused him so much pain. His disappearance wasn't just a retreat, it was a conscious decision to preserve his sanity, soul, and sound. In 2016, the world mourned Prince's death, which was attributed to an accidental overdose. For D'Angelo, the loss of such a close spiritual and artistic connection was devastating.
And I know that Prince is dead.
Prince's death was ruled an accidental overdose, and according to the police report, he thought he was taking Vicodin to manage his pain. However, the pills were counterfeit and laced with the deadly fentanyl. Hours after announcing a decision not to file charges in Prince's death, authorities released documents and video of his last days. Among the evidence were pictures from Paisley Park on the day Prince died, showing pills in a Bayer bottle that authorities say contained the deadly counterfeit Vicodin. Unfortunately, these counterfeit Vicodin pills were an exact imitation of real Vicodin pills, but they contained the potentially deadly opioid fentanyl. With all these weird coincidences, it didn't take long before Prince's fans started speculating that his death wasn't just an accident and that someone may have given him laced pills on purpose. Could Prince's tragic end have reinforced D'Angelo's decision to stay away from the industry? By avoiding Hollywood's spotlight, D'Angelo may have taken Prince's life as a cautionary tale, a reminder of what the industry could take from him. Today, D'Angelo remains a mystery, rarely making public appearances and avoiding interviews. His legacy as a neo-soul pioneer remains intact, but his story is one of survival, choosing to protect his artistry and peace over fame. Did Prince's life and death inspire D'Angelo's exit? Or was D'Angelo's decision a culmination of his own battles with fame, substance abuse, and personal loss? The answer may lie in their shared commitment to authenticity, something Hollywood often fails to respect. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.